So I think coding standards are everyone's favorite topic to discuss. So we're not going to spend a whole lot of time on it. There is a package that you can install here, and basically all it does is install a linter and a package called Prettier. And if you're not familiar with Prettier, check it out. It's super cool. It's a low configuration style enforcer, and it does a really good job. I think it's really nice, and it works in conjunction with eslint, which is a kind of deeper, more opinionated linter that I've injected some opinions into, and you know, over time I think we'll be able to refine those into something that everybody's happy with. So essentially, this package, all you need to do to install it is in the root of your project run npx tag-standards. That's it. So npx is this cool npm command that will pull the package into your global essentially and run the binary. So it's neat because you don't have to include it as a dependency in your project, but it installs all of these dependencies and the configurations that go along with them. Now, in order for you to utilize that in the project, if your editor is not set up right, you're not going to see anything. So you're going to get bombarded with a bunch of warnings and error messages and all that kind of stuff when you try to make a commit. So that could be pretty frustrating. Don't make that mistake. Let's go through getting some of the most popular, as far as I understand it, editors set up with this. So Sublime, the one I'm least familiar with, if you have package control activated or installed, or however that is termed in this particular ecosystem, it's just Command-Shift-P, install, and then we're looking for eslint, and we're looking for the package is called JS Prettier. Install those two packages, and it should allow you to have a similar experience to what I'll show you in VS Code in just a moment. In Atom, which I am familiar with, linter, eslint, and Prettier Atom are the packages that you need to install. After you've installed them, when you restart, it's going to install some dependencies of its own. I think those are linter, like the linter base package dependencies. So it's a little bit weird, but once that's all installed and settled, you'll get this experience. This is what we want. So green squiggly lines. These can be very annoying, but they're far less annoying than trying to make a commit and running into a bunch of errors, or even worse, digging through somebody else's code that doesn't match your kind of either visual style that you like to look at, or the way that you like to kind of reason about your code. So we're going to have kind of one way of doing things, and this is going to help us to maintain really cohesive, clean code bases. So this is a rule about imports, and basically what this rule says is they need to be segmented in a specific way. So your first imports are external packages. So these are things that you're going to install through Yarn, and you import them first at the top of the file. Then there's a line break. You then import other packages that are, let's see, that are not co-located in the same directory as the file you're working on, but in other areas in your project. So you're bringing in, like on line 6 here, the button, or line 7, you're bringing in some utilities from files. Then the third kind of import segment, which is rare, you're going to bring in any files that are co-located. So if you're importing styles, they'll come from there. In this case, we're importing another component. So without this, you'd have no idea that these imports are, kind of malformed. But when you have something like eslint and Prettier -code formatter installed, you have this developer experience. So hopefully this helps you get set up with that package. You're bound to run into some errors that maybe don't make sense to you. They do a pretty good job in eslint of letting you know, like, okay, I can I can look at what this rule says and go through the documentation and hopefully understand not just what the rule is, but some of the reasoning behind it. They've done a pretty great job of putting that together, and their documentation is very good. And you can reference it directly from the console errors. So hopefully this is helpful. Hopefully this gets you started and gets us writing some really nice cohesive code bases.